O thou my friend! The prosperity of crime is like unto the lightning, whose traitorous brilliancies embellish the atmosphere but for an instant, in order to hurl into death's very depths the luckless one they have dazzled. Yes, Constance, it is to thee I address this work, at once the example and honor of thy sex, with a spirit of profoundest sensibility combining the most judicious and the most enlightened of minds. Thou art she to whom I confide my book, which will acquaint thee with the sweetness of the tears virtuous Sorbicet doth shed and doth cause to flow. Detesting the sophistries of libertinage and of irreligion, in word and deed combating them unwearingly, I fear not that those necessitated by the order of personages appearing in these memoirs will put thee in any peril. The cynicism remarkable in certain portraits, they were softened as much as ever they could be, is no more apt to frighten thee, for it is only vice that trembles when vice is found out, and cries scandal immediately it is attacked. To bigots Tartuffe was indebted for his ordeal, Justine's will be the achievement of libertines, and little do I dread them. They'll not betray my intentions, these thou shalt perceive, thy opinion is sufficient to make my whole glory, and after having pleased thee I must either please universally or find consolation in a general censure. The scheme of this novel, yet, 'tis less a novel than one might suppose, is doubtless new, the victory gained by virtue over vice, the rewarding of good, the punishment of evil, such is the usual scheme in every other work of this species. The lesson cannot be too often dinned in our ears. But throughout to present vice triumphant and virtue a victim of its sacrifices, to exhibit a wretched creature wandering from one misery to the next, the toy of villainy, the target of every debauch, exposed to the most barbarous, the most monstrous caprices, driven witless by the most brazen, the most specious sophistries, prey to the most cunning seductions, the most irresistible subornations for defense against so many disappointments, so much bane and pestilence, to repulse such a quantity of corruption having nothing but a sensitive soul, a mind naturally formed, and considerable courage, briefly, to employ the boldest scenes, the most extraordinary situations, the most dreadful maxims, the most energetic brush strokes, with the sole object of obtaining from all this one of the sublimest parables ever penned for human edification. Now, such were, 'twill be allowed, to seek to reach one's destination by a road not much travelled heretofore. Have I succeeded, Constance? Will a tear in thy eye determine my triumph? After having read Justine, wilt say, "Oh, how these renderings of crime make me proud of my love for virtue! How sublime does it appear through tears! How 'tis embellished by misfortunes!" Oh, Constance! May these words but escape thy lips, and my labors shall be crowned. The very masterpiece of philosophy would be to develop the means Providence employs to arrive at the ends she designs for man, and from this construction to deduce some rules of conduct equating this wretched two-footed individual with the manner wherein he must proceed along life's thorny way, forewarned of the strange caprices of that fatality they denominate by 20 different titles, and all 1. Unavailingly, for it has not yet been scanned nor defined. If, though full of respect for social conventions and never overstepping the bounds they draw round us, if, nonetheless, it should come to pass that we meet with nothing but brambles and briars, while the wicked tread upon flowers, will it not be reckoned, save by those in whom a fund of incoercible virtues renders deaf to these remarks, will it not be decided that it is preferable to abandon oneself to the tide rather than to resist it? Will it not be felt that virtue, however beautiful, becomes the worst of all attitudes when it is found too feeble to contend with vice, and that, in an entirely corrupted age, the safest course is to follow along after the others? Somewhat better informed, if one wishes, and abusing the knowledge they have acquired, will they not say, as did the angel Jezrod in Zadig, that there is no evil whereof some good is not born? And will they not declare, that this being the case, they can give themselves over to evil since, indeed, it is but one of the fashions of producing good? Will they not add, that it makes no difference to the general plan whether such and such a one is by preference good or bad, that if misery persecutes virtue and prosperity accompanies crime, those things being as one in nature's view, far better to join company with the wicked who flourish, than to be counted amongst the virtuous who founder. Hence, it is important to anticipate those dangerous sophistries of a false philosophy. It is essential to show that through examples of afflicted virtue presented to a depraved spirit in which, however, there remain a few good principles, it is essential, I say, to show that spirit quite as surely restored to righteousness by these means as by portraying this virtuous career ornate with the most glittering honors and the most flattering rewards. Doubtless it is cruel to have to describe, on the one hand, a host of ills overwhelming a sweet-tempered and sensitive woman who, as best she is able, respects virtue, and, on the other, the affluence of prosperity of those who crush and mortify this same woman. But were there nevertheless some good engendered of the demonstration, would one have to repent of making it? Ought one be sorry for having established a fact whence there resulted, for the wise man who reads to some purpose, so useful a lesson of submission to providential decrees and the fateful warning that it is often to recall us to our duties that heaven strikes down beside us the person who seems to us best to have fulfilled his own? Such are the sentiments which are going to direct our labors, and it is in consideration of these intentions that we ask the reader's indulgence for the erroneous doctrines which are to be placed in the mouths of our characters, and for the sometimes rather painful situations which, out of love for truth, we have been obliged to dress before his eyes.